The governor's race is heating up with a pointed debate. New poll numbers suggest the race isn't close. A Senate candidate faces new questions about his personal involvement in an effort to ban abortion without exceptions for rape and incest. Could a sweet land deal convince county commissioners to let a big polluter keep doing it?
There is still a lot that needs to be looked for and acknowledged.
A request to remember, even if it's painful. And he's jazz. He is history. The fact he's still with us at 102 is good news indeed. At a special 9 News reunion of some faces I bet you'll recognize on Next. You are not hearing Colorado mentioned in many of the conversations about America's closest races this election season in the Senate and for governor. There's a reason why. Our races may not be all that competitive. A conservative-leaning pollster and a liberal-leaning one have teamed up for the latest polling that we can show you here first. Polling in which Democrats appear to be widening their leads. Democratic Governor Jared Polis leads Republican challenger Heidi Ganahl by 17 points in the Magellan-Keating online poll of more than 1,000 likely voters. Polis holds a commanding 2-to-1 margin among unaffiliated voters. Republican Senate candidate Joe O'Dea is not apparently closing the gap with incumbent Democratic Senator Michael Bennet in this polling either. They have O'Dea down 10 points. Notably, in this polling, Polis is above the 50% mark. That's a crucial mark. Bennet is not, although he's won without 50% of the vote before. O'Dea's getting hammered by Democrats for his position on abortion, where he's tried to position himself as a centrist, somebody who would codify Roe versus Wade. Today, news first reported by the Colorado Sun and later confirmed by records that we ourselves reviewed, we now know that Joe O'Dea didn't just vote for a statewide abortion ban after 22 weeks with no exceptions for rape or incest. O'Dea signed a petition to get that abortion ban on the ballot. The abortion ban he supported in 2020 lost 59 to 41% in Colorado. O'Dea's vote and his petition signature we now know about are at odds with his position on abortion today.
I believe that for the first 5 months, a woman should have the right to choose. And after that, rape, incest, health of the mother, that decision should be between a woman and her doctor.
Criticism of O'Dea on abortion is not just coming from abortion access supporters. He's also been taking some heat from anti-abortion folks who feel like he was not upfront about his stance early in the Republican primary. One of your latest Next questions was so good, we decided to do a little mashup with our Truth Test series. Wendy, Bob, and Aurora, Colleen, and Weld County all asked us to look at a political ad from Democratic Governor Jared Polis, the one where he claims he got rid of taxes on Social Security income for seniors. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger puts it to the Truth Test.
So I got rid of taxes on Social Security income for seniors.
Yes, with that caveat for seniors. A 2021 bill that Democratic Governor Jared Polis signed allows people 65 and older to deduct all of their Social Security income from their state taxes beyond the previous limit of $24,000. People between the ages of 55 and 64, however, can only deduct up to $20,000 of Social Security income from their state taxes. Here's the next claim. He says it in 1.5 seconds, so pay attention.
Cut small business taxes.
Yes, one of them. Businesses are exempt from paying taxes on personal property, things like furniture, equipment, machinery, and signs, up to $50,000. It was $7,900. So businesses can buy more personal property and not pay tax. Small businesses, however, may owe property taxes, which may still go up. And that takes us to the next claim.
Lowered property taxes for every homeowner.
This is just not verifiable yet. And it's not likely your property tax is lowered. It's likely your property tax will not go up as much as it would have without a bill passed by just about every state lawmaker, Democrat and Republican, and then signed by Polis. We covered this in May, so I'll use the same graphics. For a home valued at $500,000 today, your taxable value is based on this equation. Your home's value times a 6.95% assessment rate. Next year, your $500,000 home will be reassessed. Let's say it's then valued at $550,000. The bill the governor signed will knock $15,000 tax-free off that number, and the assessment rate gets reduced. In the end, the taxable value of your home is still more. It's not lower. It's just not as much more as it would have been without the changes. Your local taxing districts, cities, counties, parks, libraries, schools, things like that, they can adjust mill levies that go into the equation of what you pay for your property tax. I'm just saying, don't necessarily expect a lower property tax number because you hear I lowered your property tax.
We hear a lot of this in politics, and I understand why each side wants to kind of position it their own way. It's this idea that you hear, oh, I lowered this, so you think it's going to be lower, and it's not.
Right. It's if we did nothing, it would have gone here. You were here. We do nothing, it's here. Because we did something, it's here. So it's lower than the thing that you never even experienced.
But it's still affirmative action. It's still absolutely something that they did. All right, Marshall, thank you. We will continue to hold candidates accountable in a variety of formats, including 7 debates on 9 News over the next month or so. It's most televised debates in recent Colorado political history. You're going to hear from the candidates in 5 statewide races and 2 of this year's most competitive congressional races. At this point, the only candidate for statewide office who has not agreed to debate on 9 News is Republican candidate for governor Heidi Ganahl. The full schedule of debates, days, and times is on 9news.com. There are hospitals in Colorado scrambling how to figure out how to keep their doors open. Budgets are that tight. It means sometimes you have patients showing up with no space for them. Arnusha Roy takes us inside Denver Health to show us the tough decisions they're making there and why they're not alone.
In 160 years, the people inside Denver Health have seen ups and downs, but the money problems they face now are tied to unprecedented times.
We've always made it through. And our number one priority is to keep our beds, our hospital, and our clinics open for the patients who need our care.
This is the money drop-off Denver Health is facing. Right now, their rainy day fund would last 86 days. The hospital would like it to be at least 117. The average hospital has around 200 days of cash on hand. It might feel counterintuitive because of the pandemic.
Biggest is the cost of staffing. They're in short supply, and when they do exist, they are extraordinarily expensive.
Since March, the hospital has on average been $3 to $3.5 million over budget a month, paying for contract healthcare workers. It is still such a struggle to find and hire someone full-time, and federal help to cover this cost ended this year. So between the budget, staffing shortages, and making sure patients are properly taken care of,
had to close some of our beds in our hospital because we don't have the staff to be able to take care of the patients in the way we would like to.
Starting August 10th, Denver Health temporarily closed 21 beds, and they've been intermittently making this kind of call over the last few months. And when patients show up and they are out of space, a pandemic familiarity strikes. The patients are sent to other hospitals.
Either the ambulances know ahead of time that, hey, we got a lot of patients waiting, or we have we need to have this ambulance choose elsewhere.
Denver Health is by no means alone. The Colorado Hospital Association said national trends are playing out here, that more than half of all hospitals could be operating in the red this year, and that's the optimistic projection. The association also said hospitals in Colorado saw losses of more than $300 million in the first half of this year.
So the Hospital Association said that they are working through a lot of options, right? Pausing services, closing some departments or locations before having to decide if they close or not. That is the absolute last result. Denver Health does have a lot of patients who are underinsured or have no insurance. They are working on saving money outside of the clinic setting, and as well as increasing the revenue on the clinic side as well. It's really all hands on deck at this point.
It's just kind of unfathomable, the idea that you'd go into a hospital and they'd say there's no room in the inn. It's like, at that point, where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrifying prospect, right? And at the height of the pandemic, we were hearing people being taken out of state because we were running out of space. Now, what we're hearing from Denver Health is that their goal is to keep people in the Denver area, at least the metro area, but they also can't make that promise, Kyle, because it just depends on where the space is.
I imagine a family member having a tough issue and then they're, out somewhere else as opposed to being close to home. Anusha, thank you. So we know that Colorado does not have enough mental health support for kids. Thanks to Anusha's reporting, we talk about it here all the time. Tonight, a solution proposed by young people themselves, a proposed bill to address a shortage of school psychologists in districts across the state. Colorado's Youth Advisory Council presented today that the state might create a student loan forgiveness program for certified school psychologists and psychiatrists, as well as rolling out a grant program to help schools offer more pay for school psychologists. Ultimately, the Youth Committee's bill was not advanced for legislative consideration today. Instead, they were encouraged to work with some interest groups in that area that are also working on a similar proposal. The women who lead the nonprofit Spirit of the Sun are determined to help Indigenous youth in Colorado connect with their culture, and they're dedicated to feeding elders and young families in the Native community in the Denver metro area. Your latest Word of Thanks microgiving campaign has raised almost $12,000 in 2 days to support their work. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491. I'll send you that link to join me and a bunch of Next viewers in supporting the work of Spirit of the Sun. The young people in their programs learn restorative farming practices on plots of land around the Denver area, and the food that they grow, along with donated produce, feeds elders and families in need in our community. It's a win-win that they can do even more of with some of our help.
A big polluter offered Boulder County quite the deal. County leaders just decided whether to accept it. If you saw someone wearing orange today, they may have been asking you to remember a dark moment in Colorado's past. And he is jazz history, living at 102. We catch up with the legend next.
Commissioners in Boulder County have voted against an offer by a cement plant that would have allowed that company to operate there for another 15 years in exchange for kicking 1,000 acres of open space to the county. Yesterday, Boulder County commissioners voted 2-1 to let the Cemex mining permit expire today. Came as a bit of a surprise to the company because earlier this month, Boulder County Parks reached a deal with them. They'd get to keep mining for another 15 years before closing. In return, Cemex would cut its emissions and make that big land donation to the county. Well, some of the public were not too happy when this deal got out, so then Cemex said, well, we'll just do another 12 years. Ultimately, that was not enough to sway the Boulder County commissioners. Cemex says it will continue operations at that plant even if what they have to do to abide by the permits is truck in the materials instead of doing the mining on site. Colorado still does not know the full extent of what happened at 5 Indian boarding schools that once operated in our state. Today was a day set aside to remember and recognize the damage that those schools caused. Today is National Day of Truth and Reconciliation in Canada. It's known as Orange Shirt Day, and the day is recognized by Indigenous people across North America. They want everyone to know more about what happened at these Indian boarding schools. Children were forced to attend. They couldn't see their families. They couldn't speak their native language. 5 of these schools were open in Colorado from the 1880s to the 1950s. They were often brutal places, and many students never made it home.
And so to have days like Orange Shirt Day and acknowledging that there are still countless children who've never been recovered, much less those who are living today with these traumas, we acknowledge that all of that has happened, but we also want to provide everybody who has that residual trauma the opportunity to heal.
History Colorado is working with tribal partners to find out what happened at boarding schools here in Colorado. And that includes, like in Canada, trying to find locations where students were buried.
Well, storms are pushing into the area, and we're going to wait for cooler weather through the rest of the weekend as well. Right now, a live look over downtown Denver, where you can see a little bit of sunshine starting to peek through the clouds there, but we are still seeing those showers and storms push through the area as well. 57 degrees right now at DIA. Those winds still pretty strong, coming in from the north-northwest at around 28 miles per hour. Now, as we take a look at the state, we did have a line of showers and storms pushing in from the west and northwest, and across the western slope, these storms are pretty heavy, so we do have a marginal risk for severe weather across portions of the western slope through the rest of the evening. We have a flash flood warning there off in Utah. None right now in Colorado. We had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings earlier this evening. Those have all expired. And then as we take a look across the Front Range, now some of the storms that are bringing some precipitation in the high country, the higher elevations, mostly higher than 12,000 feet or so, are seeing this precipitation fall as snow. Here in Denver and the rest of the urban corridor, though, we are just watching for these scattered showers, isolated storms to pop through. Nothing severe is expected, but of course, we're going to continue to watch for locally heavy downpours, strong winds, lightning, and some areas could even see some small hail. We had nickel to quarter-size hail reports off in the western slope with those winds gusting up to around 60 miles per hour. Here overnight, we're going to watch for those storms to become more isolated, mostly cloudy skies, lows in the upper 40s. And then over the next couple of days, those highs will stay in the lower 70s, bringing cooler air into the area. And then we're going to continue to watch for cooler weather and scattered storms through midweek.
Denver's jazz community is celebrating some good news of their own today, honoring a trailblazing musician. Our favorite Friday tradition continues next.
We are 318 Fridays into sharing your good news. It never gets old, almost gets better with age. Like jazz legend Charlie Burrell, the first black American to join a major American symphony shortly after he came to Denver in 1948. Today, Charlie turns 102.
Well, my good news of the day is that we're all here.
The good news for today, be cool, don't be no fool.
We are celebrating in advance the 102nd birthday of one of the most incredible people who have ever lived, Charles Burrell.
Every person of color who walks across the stage ought to know the saga of what this incredible man did.
He's mentored me over the years.
Hi, my name is Ed Stephen. I play guitar with Purnell's band. This is going to be a particularly great day because of Charlie Burrell's birthday. 102 years old, he's 61 years old, really.
It's been magnificent. I had never been sick in a day in my life, so I've been very, very extremely fortunate, and God bless.
He was the first African American to be included with a major symphony way back when.
Every time he got knocked down emotionally, he got up stronger than ever before and more determined to continue on his mission of bringing his talent to the world.
Well, the only problem is that being part of the band, we got to play all right notes because he's going to be judging us. So.
I couldn't believe it. I said, why? I said, I didn't do anything, you know. I had a magnificent career. It couldn't have been better.
Next viewer named Dave just wrote in to say his 103-year-old mother-in-law lives in the same facility as Mr. Burrell and says Charlie shakes her hand every time he sees her. True gentleman, Dave wrote. It's a special day around here. For the first time in a long time, we got to see some people we know and love. You know and love them too. Trust me. That's next. You're watching because you know local journalism matters, and the people here at 9 News have believed that for generations. They're the shoulders on which our team stands today. People like Carl Akers and Ed Sardella, Adele Arakawa. We had a chance to visit with many of our former colleagues today as we celebrate 9 News' 70th anniversary year. Take a look at the reunion photo. You see any familiar faces there? Adele was there. I've never seen a happier retired person. Paula Woodward, Ward Lucas, so many Niners who work behind the scenes here. I have posted this photo on Next social media accounts if you want to scan it for the faces of some journalists who built 9 News over the years. Even had the chance today to meet Peggy Sawyer. She told me that she was the weekend weather girl at 9 News from 1956 to 1962. She got the job because she answered an ad in the Rocky. 60 years after she left, Peggy got to come back to 9 News for the day today. From Peggy to Carl to Ed to Adele to all of the news managers and producers and photojournalists and others that you rarely saw before the camera. We are here today because they were here yesterday. Maybe why you are here today as well. See you next time.